had a lot of y'all ask me if I knew of a pattern that looked like the button leg warmers that you can find on Pinterest or on Etsy, and I looked and I couldn't find any that I thought looked like it or were pretty similar. So I decided to make my own pattern. It was kind of hard because I'm not the best pattern maker, but I think it turned out great and it looks just like the picture. I never bought it, so I don't know if any of you bought it and it looks totally different, but that's the best that I could come up with, and I think it looks great. So I hope y'all like it. I'm sorry it took so long. Anyways, I haven't had enough time to add the lace and the buttons, and so I haven't really taken any pictures of it. So if you make these and you take good pictures of it, then send it to me and I will choose a couple of you guys' pictures and then I'll put it on my pattern for everyone to see with your name on it. And yeah, that would be great. So I hope you enjoy making the pattern. Let me know if there's anything I need to change or whatever. I'm totally open to that. Okay, love you, bye! Okay. We need to cast on, so we make a slip knot. Then you get your needle. I'm using US size 5, but you need to use whatever size needle that gets you the correct gauge, or else your legging might be too small or it might be too big. And let's cast on 73 stitches. This is how I hold it. I just have them held like this, and then I take them out. And I go over, pick this up, go in between these two, and go in between these two. That's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now do this 73 times. Row 1 is our wrong side, and it's the odd numbers. So what you do is you slip stitch purlwise. So you put your needle in the front like you're going to purl it, but you just slip it off. Alright? And then you purl 2. That's 1. And 2. And you bring your yarn over and you knit. 1. Then you bring the yarn back over in the front. And you go from the back to the front. And you purl 2. 1. 2. And you knit 1. You do this all the way to the end of the row. And then the last stitch, instead of knitting it, you will purl it. Okay? Okay, so on the right side, you slip your stitch knitwise. And then you knit 2, and you purl 1, all the way to the end of the row. And then the last stitch, you knit it. Okay. Knit, knit, and then a purl. Then you do it again. Knit, knit, purl. Okay, now we have 3 stitches, and so we knit, knit, and instead of purling, we knit it. So it has a smooth edge, just like that. And then it'll look like this. When your work measures around 1.5 inches, it's time to make a buttonhole. And we make a buttonhole on the right side of our work. So it's the same thing. We slip stitch our first one knitwise, and then knit 2, 1, 2, purl 1. We want to end these 2 knits. Okay, so we need to cast these off. So we knit both of them, and then we take our first one and we pull it over our second one. Oh, sorry. Just like that. Okay. And then let's purl this next one. And then let's take off our second knit and pull it over. Just like that. Okay. And then there's our hole right there. Okay, and so we just keep on going with the pattern. And then for the next row, on the wrong side, just do the same thing what you do for the even rows. And then when you get to our little hole, that's when we need to cast on, because we cast off 2 stitches and now we need to go back and cast on 2 stitches. Alright, so I'll see you on the next row, the wrong side, right before we have to cast on those 2 stitches. So we knit this one, and then we need to add 2. So the easiest way is I just make a circle, see? Then I put my right needle through my circle, and then I tighten it. And then that's 1. Then I do it again, make a circle, needle, 2. Okay, and then we knit 1, and then we purl the last 3. And then for the next row, you just knit those 2 new cast on stitches just like normal. And there's our little buttonhole. He's so cute. Keep repeating rows 1 and 2 until your work measures around 2 inches from your cast on edge. And then it's time to do the body. And we're going to slip the first stitch knitwise, and then we knit 1, and then we purl 1, and then we do this 6 more times.
happens for a reason. Like being with you, it's what I'm feeling. Don't throw this away. Come be with me, and I know that you'll stay.
4,
How could anyone be as lovely as you? How could anyone do the things
5,
when you smile? My heart will stop for a while.
and 6. Okay, and then we are going to knit all the way until the last 15 stitches. So if you want to get a marker and count the last 15 stitches and put it there so that you don't get ahead of yourself and knit all of them, you can do that. But yeah, so just keep on knitting until you get to the last 15 stitches. Okay, and now I'm going to purl 1 and knit 1 7 times, and then just knit the last stitch. Purl, knit, purl, knit.
You're looking at me and you wanting the truth, but nothing else matters to me but you. I just wanna hold you, I just wanna show you how it feels to be loved.
My last purl, and I do a knit, and my last stitch is a knit 1. Right, let's start the wrong side row of the body. You're going to slip the first stitch purlwise, and then purl 1, knit 1, and do that 7 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one's easier because you can see what you did on the last row. But this one we're going to purl next. Okay, last one. Purl. And then knit. Okay, and then you purl until the last 15 stitches. And then you knit purl 7 times, and then the last stitch you purl. Knit, purl, knit, purl, and then a purl. And then make a buttonhole every 2 inches. Okay, now for the top ribbing, this is row 1. We always slip the first stitch. So we knit 1, and now we're going to knit 2 together. And then we purl 1. So we knit 1, and then we knit 2 together. And then we purl 1. Okay? Do this all the way to the end of the row. Oh, I'm so sorry that did not record. I'm gonna have to talk to you through it then. At the end of row 1, we knit our last stitch. And then we flipped it over. Then you slip the stitch purlwise. And then you knit 1, purl 2. Knit 1, purl 2. Knit 1, purl 2. Oh, I'm so mad. I was talking to nobody. Okay, knit 1. This is row 2. Purl 2. 1 and 2. Knit 1. Purl 2. Okay, so just do this all the way to the end of the row, and then we purl our last stitch. Okay, and then for row 3, this is when we go back and we add our stitches that we knitted 2 together. So, of course, we slip this one off knitwise, and we're going to knit the first one, and then you can make one however you like. You can either pick this up and knit it, but whatever you do, don't make one this way by putting your yarn over, because it'll make a big circle. We don't want that. So what I did, and it works, is I just cast on. Cast on by making one, okay? And then that's going to give us a little wavy look in between our 2 knits, and it's going to look pretty. And then we're always going to purl these. Okay, so that's our pattern for row 3. Let's do it again. Knit 1, make 1, knit 1, and purl 1. Okay, do this all the way to the end of the row and knit the last stitch. Knit 1, make 1, knit 1, purl 1. Alright, so now for row 4, we are going to purl slip stitch this off, and then we knit 1 and purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, all the way to the end of the row. Purl. Hope my fingers aren't in the way. If I don't hold it though, it'll fall. Knit. And purl. Knit. And purl. And it's looking really pretty. Okay, so you just keep repeating these rows 1 through 4 for around 4 inches, but you have to do a button loop. Now it's time to bind off. bind off after knitting a row 4. So your last row should be a row 4. Knit our first stitch. We have to knit 2, and then we just take, it's like making a buttonhole, take our first one and put it over our second stitch, like that. And we knit, and do the same thing.